Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the Supreme Human Being, unto Srila Vyas, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna.
Sringata
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Hridyantasto hi Bhadrani.
Hridyantasto Bhadrani.
Vidunoti Suhritsatam.
Vidunoti Suhritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Super Soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we have a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 6, Purusha Shukta confirmed, and we are on 37 or 38? What does it say?
It says 38.
Okay. Yasya Vatara
Yasya Vitara
Kamani
Kamani
Yasyavatara karmani.
Yasyavatara kamani.
Gayanti.
Gayanti. He.
Asmad.
Asmad.
Adaya.
Adayaha.
Gayanti Yasmad Adayaha. Nayam.
Nayam.
Vidanti.
Vedanti.
Tatvena.
Tatvena.
Nayam Vidanti Tatvena.
Nayam Vedanti Tatvena.
Tasmai.
Tasmai.
Bhagavate.
Bhagavate.
Namaha.
Namaha.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha.
Yasyavatara karmani. Gayanti Yasmad Adaya. Nayam Vidanti Tatvena. Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Yasyavatara karmani. Gayanti Yasmadadayaha.
Gayanti He.
Yes, it's a Y as one word, but it turns into a Y so it can blend with the next word, so it's Yasmad. Nayam Vidanti Tatvena.
Nayam Vedanti Tatvena.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha.
Tasma Bhagavate Namaha.
I don't know if that's two or three, but let's do it once more. Yasyavatara karmani.
Yasyavatara kamani.
Gayanti Yasmadadayaha.
Gayanti.
Yasmadadayaha. Nayam Vidanti Tatvena.
Nayam Vedanti Tatvena.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Could you do the second one again? Gayanti.
Gayanti Yasmad Adayaha.
Gayanti.
Yasmad Adayaha. Yasmad.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, Hyasma.
Yasmad. Yeah.
Gayanti Hyasma.
Adayaha.
Adayaha. You
See, it looks like the accent right where the A is.
have to practice that.
Okay, we stand. Somebody.
Yasman Vyantir Kamani. Gayanti Hyasma. Nayam Vedanti Tadvena. Tas Bhagavate Namaha.
Yasyavatara karmani.
Bhagavata Kamani.
Jayanti Asmat Adaha.
Yanti Hyasma Adaha.
Nayam Vedanti Tatvena.
Nayam Vedanti Tatvena.
Bhagavate Namaha.
Tas Bhagavate Namaha.
Anybody else? Okay, word meanings. Yasya.
Yasya.
Whose.
Whose.
Avatara.
Avatara.
Incarnation.
Incarnation.
Kamani.
Kamani.
Activities.
Activity.
Gayanti.
Gayanti.
Chanting glorification.
Chanting glorification.
He.
He.
Indeed. Asmat Adayaha. Persons like us.
Persons like us.
Na.
Na.
Do not.
Not.
Yam.
Yum.
Whom. Vidanti.
Vedanti.
No, as in K-N-O-W.
No.
Tatvena.
Tatvena.
Cent% as he is.
Cent percent as he is.
Tasmai.
Tasmai.
Unto him.
Unto him.
Bhagavate.
Bhagavate.
Unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna.
Unto the personality of Godhead, Jai Shri Krishna.
Namaha.
Namaha.
Respectful obeisances.
Respectful obeisances.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Translation. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is. Let's repeat. Let us offer our respectful obeisances.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances
Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Whose incarnations and activities.
Whose incarnations and activities.
Are chanted by us for glorification.
Are chanted by us for glorification.
Though he can hardly be fully known.
Though he can hardly be fully known.
As he is.
As he is.
Purport. It is said that the transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, personality, etc. cannot possibly be perceived by the gross materialistic senses. When the senses are purified by the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshiping the lotus feet of the holy deity, etc., the Lord reveals himself proportionately to the advancement of the quality of devotional service. Yayata mam prapadyante. One should not expect the Lord to be an order-supplying agent who must be present before us as soon as we desire to see him. We must be ready to undergo the prescribed devotional duties, following the path shown by the predecessors in the disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, and similar authorities. As the senses are progressively purified by bona fide devotional service, the Lord reveals his identity according to the spiritual advancement of the devotee. But one who is not in the line of devotional service can hardly perceive him simply by calculations and philosophical speculations. Such a hard worker can present a jugglery of words before an audience, but can never know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his personal feature. The Lord has clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one can know him only by devotional service. No one can know the Lord by any puffed-up material process of challenge, but the humble devotee can please the Lord by his earnest devotional activities. Thus the Lord reveals himself proportionately before the devotee. Lord Brahma therefore offers his respectful obeisances as a bona fide spiritual master, and Allah advises us to follow the process of Shravana and Kirtana. Simply by this process, or simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the activities of the Lord's incarnation, one can certainly see within himself the identity of the Lord. We have already discussed this subject in Volume 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with this verse. Tat Shradhatana Mulayo Jnana Vairagya Hikaya Pashyanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Vihitaya. Srimad Bhagavatam 1-2-12. The conclusion is that one cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully by any method, but he can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing, chanting, etc. As born in the darkest of ignorance, my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, since I don't have my phone, it's charging. Problems with solar is really great until there isn't much solar. Let's see, so I couldn't charge at home. So maybe you could look up, is your phone working? 1-2-12? Just so we can read, I read it, but let's read the translation. 1-2-12. First canto, second chapter. And also Yatamam Prapadyante, which I found.
I have 53% on this one.
Okay,
Srimad Bhagavatam.
You want me to read it or you?
Oh, you can just read it out loud. If I handle your phone, will it disappear on me like yours does? Okay.
You said 1, 2.
I read that.
You said 1-2-12.
1-2-12.
The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and the detachment, realizes the absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Sutra.
Thank you. So we see that we have to render devotional service. There's no other way. He said, well-equipped student, right? Well-equipped student. Huh? Well,
Yes, well equipped with knowledge
well equipped with knowledge
and detachment.
and detachment. We have to have this part done. This is it too? Okay. Knowledge is important. We have to hear, and we have to chant, well, hearing and chanting our devotional service. But we have to be aware that it's really important to get the knowledge and really important to practice the detachment. Otherwise we will perhaps pursue devotional service but in a sentimental way, and our progress will be slower. So, and it says in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So we have Bhagavad Gita, which is Shruti because Krishna spoke it. Smriti is books that are, the Shruti is like the Vedas, Krishna spoke, and the Bhagavad Gita is also included because Krishna spoke it, where the Smriti is books that are built on what you get from that, yes, from remembering it and understanding it, and then expand on it. So they're both scripture. So from the Vedanta Shruti, what we hear from Krishna. So we have Bhagavad Gita. So we follow Bhagavad Gita, the principles in there, and we follow the spiritual master's guidance, and we have all this knowledge that we're getting. We should pursue the knowledge and not just let it sit there next to us and go on with our own selves. We should actually pursue it and pursue it and pursue it, and study it and restudy it. We should grow in this knowledge. But by rendering devotional service is the central part. Because you could do those other things. You can hear and you can gain the knowledge. You could be well equipped with knowledge and detachment. You can practice detachment and everything. But if you don't do devotional service, you're not personally loving Krishna, so Krishna is not going to reveal himself. And that's easy to understand if you think about how we are too. If somebody is just real expert and knowledgeable, but isn't kind and loving to us, then we're not going to open up too much to that person. If somebody is kind and loving to us, then we feel like opening up, and Krishna is the same way. So he doesn't reveal himself unless there's some devotional service, and then he reveals himself according to the devotional service. Because if there isn't enough devotional service to support the revealing, then it will go wrong or something won't work out right. So Krishna is very careful. He reveals himself exactly according to the devotional service. And so hearing and chanting, which are devotional service. But if they are only about knowledge, then the devotion still isn't there. Still not understanding the full thing. So this one that was quoted, Ye yata mam prapadyante, is from Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Ye yata mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushya partasarvashaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. Of course, everyone follows. You think everybody doesn't, but all paths belong to Krishna. And whatever path you follow, it belongs to Krishna. You're following his path, whether you're going down or up. So everyone follows my path. So Krishna's the owner of all paths. He's the controller. But as we surrender to him, he rewards accordingly. If we only surrender to his material nature and the senses, well, that's what he gives us. But it's all from him. It's very fascinating. But as we practice devotional service, and even a little bit, he never forgets and we never lose it. So what other points we end here? Let's see. In the sense of them. So he said the transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, personality, etc. cannot possibly be perceived by the gross materialistic senses. But when the senses are purified by the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshiping the lotus feet of the deity, the Lord reveals himself proportionately to the advancement of quality of devotional service. So some of these people who don't surrender and don't have any authorized hearing, they don't have any official, proper knowledge, and they're not hearing from the right source, and they practice surrendering independently, it's not very effective. It will not get them very far. So, be perceived by the gross material sense. When the senses are purified by the process of hearing, it has to be proper hearing. We can't just hear from anybody. We can't just claim I heard it in the heart from the Lord, and you're not working with under anybody. And there you are. You have all this knowledge. Supposedly, it never works that way. Krishna does not. That's not surrender. The process of surrender is to surrender to the instructions of devotees, and they have to be bona fide devotees. If you surrender to their instruction and allow them to teach, then the Lord is pleased and He begins to reveal Himself. So there's no way around it. There's no cheating, no nothing. Krishna is in control. He's not going to reveal Himself, but He might reveal a false Krishna. He might give you an imaginary idea. So to satisfy, okay, you got something, because you're imagining, so here's something imaginary. They're like the Christians have this idea of God as a fierce old man with a great big beard. And great big beard and long hair, and he's wearing a plain little robe. Not much to it. So he's God. So where did they get that idea? So somebody invented it. And they possibly had along the idea of God must be an old man. So then Michelangelo painted this picture, and that's in the psyche. So there's this idea that God's a fierce bearded old man. So there are many offenses done in ignorance. And the idea that there is this false image of God kind of protects Krishna from offenses from us when we're in ignorance. So the more we have knowledge, the fewer offenses we're likely to make, because we become softened in heart by this knowledge, if we're receiving it correctly. So then they become more trustworthy. And Krishna, the more Krishna trusts us, the more He reveals Himself. One should not expect the Lord to be an order-supplying agent who must be present before us as soon as we desire to see Him. Why can't I see God? I pray and I ask to see Him, and I don't, so I don't know if I believe in Him. Well, if He did appear, you would say, well, God can't be seen, so I don't believe in Him. So He knows that's not going to work. He's not the order supplier of visions of Himself. So it's based on love. So we must be ready to undergo the prescribed devotional duties, following the path shown by the predecessors in the disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, and similar authorities. As the senses are progressively purified by bona fide devotional service, the Lord reveals His identity according to the spiritual advancement of the devotee. It's all under control. You can't storm the castle. You can't get around it. You have to follow this. One who is not in the line of devotional service can hardly perceive Him simply by calculations and philosophical speculations. So that's why we have philosophers coming up with philosophies and scientists calculating energies of various kinds that they measure, and coming up with God particle and things like that. That they're just speculating. They have no idea who Krishna is. They aren't going to have any idea. And the philosophical speculators are going to have different ideas that they're going to debate, and they're going to be all interested in it, but because they aren't pious enough and they aren't ready to surrender, Krishna keeps them entertained with these illusory ideas. So let's see. Can never know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His personal priesthood. It's just such a hard worker. He will work really hard with their, the scientists are doing their calculations, and the philosophers are writing their books and thinking and everything and figuring things out. Or the kind he's thinking of here, the Mayavadi philosophers, who juggle the words around so that the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita can mean what they want it to mean, because they figured it all out a different way. So they cannot see Krishna. They can never know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His personal feature. It says in His personal feature. They might know something about Brahman. They might see a light, but then they think they are the light, so. The Lord has clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one can know Him only by devotional service. He says that in many places, especially again in chapter 11, that no one can see this vision except by devotional service. No one can see Krishna's personal form like He showed to Arjuna after that great vision except by devotional service. So only devotional service, that's the whole thing, devotional service. No one can know the Lord by any puffed up material process of challenge. These are challenges, trying to know God without doing devotional service. These are challenges. I challenge this ignorance, this darkness. I'm going to figure it out. It's a challenge, but they can't know Him that way. But the humble devotee can please the Lord by his earnest devotional activities. The word earnest in a recent purport turned up several times. We have to be very earnest in our devotional activities. You can't be la-di-da or mechanical or hurried and distracted. You have to be earnest, trying. Different forces may act on you. You may feel pressure to be hurried. You may have to hurry. You may have to deal with distractions. But that earnestness has to be there, that you keep trying to think of Krishna, keep trying to do it for Krishna. You've got to be very earnest in your devotional activities. And then thus the Lord reveals Himself proportionately before the devotee. If we can't see Krishna yet, it's because we aren't there yet. Krishna is not going to miss out on somebody who, how come Krishna didn't show me Himself and I'm so advanced? Maybe He didn't see how advanced I really am. Krishna doesn't miss out on anybody, but if you can't see Him, it's because you're not purified yet. And you're not earnest enough, you're not surrendered enough. So, let's see. The Lord reveals Himself proportionately. Lord Brahma therefore offers his respectful obeisances as a bona fide spiritual master and advises us to follow the process of Shravana and Kirtana. What does it mean in the glorification? Let us offer, this is the verse, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification. So that's the hearing and chanting. We're hearing this and chanting it. Simply by this process, simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the activities of the Lord's incarnation, one can certainly see within himself the identity of the Lord. Do we not by hearing see? In our heart. By this hearing and by repeating it, we hear better, and by this process we see. We don't see with our eyes until we're very advanced, but we see with our ears. So we hear it and we see in our heart. Maybe not visually seeing in our heart, but we see, by a certain kind of way we are seeing. One can certainly see within himself the identity of the Lord. So, then there's that verse. The conclusion is, one cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully by any method, but He can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing and chanting. So He's greater than us. We can never own all of Him, such to see all of Him. But it's great enough we start seeing part of Him and feel Him. Is that why we still do our devotional service after years and frustrations and making slow progress and thinking, why am I not getting anywhere? And why do we still do it? Why are we still here? Because we have experienced this sweetness. He can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing and chanting. Keeps us coming back. So I guess I'll stop here. Okay, go ahead.
That word partially is really very merciful because we don't have to eat. It's not an all or nothing.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that's there.
Yeah. I mean, if we saw all of Him, we'd probably just like poof, nothing. We can only absorb so much. So we can only see so much, but this love is exchanged, yeah.
And it's also not only seeing but feeling, felt. That word felt is nice too.
Yes. Pardon?
Madhava, you mentioned that as we advance in our spiritual life, we get a chance to see Krishna. Does that mean like seeing Him in the essence of acknowledging His presence and acknowledging Him in everything? Or you'll literally get visions of Krishna?
Eventually we can see Him. Prabhupada said he could see Krishna. My impression, my sense of this is, in the beginning you just see with your ears and your imagination constructs an image out of what you heard.
Yeah.
And gradually that image comes to life. It becomes more stabilized in your mind and you can access it more easily, come more life. Probably it gradually turns into really seeing Him. and then eventually we'll really see him. And then he says that according to our love for one particular form or another, he appears in our heart that way. So if we think of Krishna with Radharani instead of a super soul, we think of that, and our love for Krishna that way, threefold bending form awakens, and that's how we start to feel love for him. He will appear that way in our heart. So not just super soul, but then those who are worshiping formally, he'll be super soul, and they'll go and they'll be where Narayan is. But maybe eventually I've heard it said that Prabhupada said that we all originally come from Goloka Vrindavan. And in Vaikuntha, we're not all the way awake yet to who we are. So there's degrees. Everywhere there's degrees. Yeah.
So it's okay to see Krishna with 4 arms. It's okay to see Krishna with 2 arms. It's okay to see Krishna with Radharani. It's okay to see Krishna
you
with,
picture him anywhere
with the
that's
cowherd boys.
Yeah, you can use your imagination from your hearing and picture him any way you like from the different things we hear about, his different forms, his different pastimes. But it's at first it's contrived, it's a little effort to say, I remember that he looked like this, I'm going to think about him like this. And then you try to remember it maybe while you're chanting or something, you piece together some details and you make a little mental image. It gets easier as it gets more natural and you're gradually starting to really see. But you will, no, you're not going to see him yet.
You know what I'm saying? If you look at it in deity form and then close your eyes, then
you can look at the
see
deity form, try to memorize what he's wearing today, and you can remember that during the day. There are a lot of different ways you can do it. It's okay. In the beginning, you may cast around, try different ways of thinking about Krishna. I remember the phases I went through, trying to remember the deities, trying to think of his lotus feet.
Yeah.
You know, different ways, trying to think of the super soul in my heart, trying to think of Radha Krishna, think of some pastime. But you cast about, and eventually your love settles in on a particular form of Krishna, and that's Krishna reciprocating. And eventually, keep going and advancing, eventually you can really see him. Yeah.
Like when back home, there was an instance when we always go to take darshan and we say everybody,
you know what, your voice is so soft, no matter where you stand, it gets lost in here, just go real slow.
Okay, so back home, we generally say, where you're coming from, the temple room, so you just took darshan. So one day when one senior man, she said, what did you notice? What is Krishna wearing on his hip? What is is Radharani have a flower in her hand?
Wow.
Which way does the garland turn today? So then I took a step back and I'm like, luckily I remembered, I liked a few parts of the turban pieces that stood out. I said, I've only acknowledged this, and she said, wow, thank you for acknowledging it. So then ever since then, I always try to look for these things, because it's just like you imprint the image in your mind and then you have to actually acknowledge the Lord for the day and, and in that way we take darshan.
You're going to stay close to him all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
Yeah.
3 things came to me this afternoon. Thank you for the class. The 3 things that came to me, there was a remembrance on the, can you hear me okay, or should I get closer?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a following Srila Prabhupada. There was a Mataji, and she was explaining how Prabhupada would say, we can't see Krishna because we can't even see a part of Krishna. We can't see our, the spirit self, and in that way it would be very difficult if we're thinking we can see Krishna. And the other example with Prabhupada, it's like a quote every day. Viva gave me this quote from Srila Prabhupada, and how he was explaining how we have cataracts. So when you have cataracts, you have to remove them. And then he explained how he was so merciful, that's what he does. He's trying to remove those cataracts, so we can have the eyes tinged with the salve of love. And the other thing was, when you're talking about surrender, there was, in that same thing, Prabhupada meditation book, there was a letter to Jataka Maharaj, and in it Prabhupada was explaining, we can tell if a devotee is surrendered if he sees it, oh, this is Krishna's plan. It doesn't matter what you're doing or what kind of things you're doing or where it is, but the most important thing is to see it that this is what Krishna has given me. It's his plan, and it's for me to do the best I can for his pleasure. That was another thing I was thinking. And the last thing I was thinking about, how Krishna is so kind and loving that whatever, I'm thinking you mentioned this, whatever you do this lifetime, it's not like it goes away or nothing's there, but Krishna sees that, like a spiritual bank account, that's what I was telling the devotees, that I encourage like that. Well, this is nice, whatever you're doing, whatever devotional service you're doing in this lifetime, whatever percentage you have, I think it's in Bhagavatam was saying that, you begin, like you can start off from that. It's not like something that's going to be taken away or anything like that. Yeah, those good things I was thinking of. If you want like to.
So if we come to the movement able to grasp real quickly up to a certain level and then drop down with like a new person learning, that's because that's how far we got in the previous life. Mm-hmm. Usually, that's my understanding. I mean, it could be that someone's psychophysical nature just sort of was able to grasp this aspect quicker than others, but probably a lot of times, maybe most of the time, maybe all the time, it's because they began in a previous life.
I've seen that in Back to Godhead, where you explain exactly how Prabhupada was explaining that these men, they from previous lifetimes, they've done some service to Krishna. Yeah. So in this lifetime, he was making the point that we should try to get it all together so we don't have to.
Yeah, why do another lifetime and another lifetime?
Yeah, that's, like you were saying, detachment. So that's my problem. I have very bad attachment, so I know I need to reflect on that one, like watching TV. I'll tell you this, I watch TV.
I know that I went through phases in my life that was really heavy. Heavy flowers.
That's all we have.
Weight.
It's well made.
Yeah. So, I remember phases of my life where I thought I was supposed to surrender to one type of devotional service. I had it in my head. And I was doing another kind of like stuck doing it. And I was like wrestling with it, complaining and suffering about it and everything. I wasn't surrendering to what Krishna gave me. I just didn't understand. It took me a long time. I'm a lot more peaceful about what comes my way now than I was then. I had issues to resolve, but had ideas. I'm supposed to do this. Why can't I do this? You won't let me. You make me stuck doing that. So it's a struggle. We all have our own little methods of struggling and our own little issues. But if we hear from the bona fide source in the disciplic succession, properly, like if we hear from someone who's properly following in the disciplic succession and is faithful, then our devotional service has that potency. So as we surrender, we make real progress. Otherwise, it'll probably have to come back, because if we're not hearing from the proper person, if we're not hearing from authorities and we're trying to figure it out ourselves, maybe we have a little knowledge and we just try to build on that all by ourselves, and we'll be given maybe some false images or something that we can feel like we got something. Just like materialists, they have their false philosophies, they have their sense gratification, they have psychological aspects, and they feel like they're doing great, making progress. Because they're not ready to surrender to Krishna, Maya, under Krishna's authority, gives something to pacify them and entertain them without letting them bother Krishna. So we have to be very careful to be true to the bona fide source, and always take shelter of the bona fide devotees who actually have heard from the bona fide source, so that we can make real progress, and we won't be in illusion about it.
And that's Mahamaya.
Mahamaya. Okay, this is Mahamaya and Yogamaya. There's Maya. Okay, Maya is Krishna's illusion. And Maya is part of Krishna's energy, feminine. His energy is feminine. So Maya is a personality. But Maya has two actions, so she has two names. Mahamaya means the great big Maya we're under, where we can't see Krishna at all. And Yoga Maya is the Maya that surrounds Krishna that you can't see that he's God so that you can become closer to him. If the gopis always saw Krishna as God, then how could they be intimate with him and how could they please him? They would just be so inhibited. There's, this grand, unlimited God. All you can do is this. You can't gopis have their special relationships with Krishna. They couldn't do it. The cowherd boys couldn't play with him. Yeah.
It would be like the awe and reverence kind of relationship.
Would be awe and reverence is kind of in between. Vaikuntha is kind of in between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So yoga, the word yoga means to link with the Supreme. So Yoga Maya helps you get closer. Is a Maya that helps you get closer to Krishna. Whereas Mahamaya is big Maya. So that's what we're in this world, and if we don't follow the bona fide teachings, we'll be still in Mahamaya. Still in big Maya. Yeah?
One of our gardeners up in Detroit said he met one of his heroes, a superstar kind of gardener person, and it seemed like he was so awestruck, he didn't even approach or introduce himself. And it's like Yoga Maya would have allowed him just go, hey, how you doing?
Because Yoga Maya doesn't apply to this kind of
not
situation.
on a mundane, but he was so awestruck. We would be so awestruck with Krishna that we wouldn't approach him and say, what's up?
Yeah, Vaikuntha planets is much more formal. You're out of the material world, no more birth and death. But according to the one thing Prabhupada said, you're not fully awake to your fully original nature. So you are somewhat in awe and reverence to some degree, and there's 5 kinds of liberation, and I won't be able to say the Sanskrit except for Sayuja, which Sayuja is the one devotees do not want, for sure, because that is to merge with the form of the Lord. And who wants that? We want to do devotional service, we want to appreciate him, we want to interact with him. What are we going to merge with him for? So there's no devotion that way. Devotees do not want that one. They don't really want the other 4. And why is that? Because they just want devotional service. So that's the mood of the topmost planet, Goloka Vrindavan. In the Vaikuntha planets, you can live, there's the other 4. You can live on the same planet as the Lord. You can have the same opulences. You can have the same form. Or you can be his associate. Those are the 4 kinds of liberation that devotees would be all right with, but they don't really want those because they're still kind of formal. They don't. So devotees, when it says devotees don't want liberation, what it means is they don't want those things that they can feel. I'm liberated. I get to be on the same planet as Krishna. Like that. I don't have to take birth and death. It's kind of still about what I get. It's not the pure devotees don't want that. They don't want to hear about that. They just want to serve Krishna. And the place for that mood is Goloka Vrindavan, where there'll be cowherd girls, cowherd boys, parental people in the village who love him, friends, more intimate servants who participate in his activities, but a little bit more in a servant mood, like that. So they'll be in the cowherd village and they'll just be close to him. So they don't want this liberation thing because they don't want to think about, I want something for myself. They just want to serve Krishna wherever. And a lot of times devotees who are preaching, they say, well, if I take birth again, I'll just preach again. If I have to go to hell, I'll preach there. They're just nothing, they don't want anything about whether they get liberated or they don't get liberated or they go to heaven or to hell or anything. They just want to keep doing devotional service because that's the sweetest. That's where you get closest to Krishna. And that's what they want to do, is they want to be close to Krishna. They're not thinking, I want liberation. They're thinking, I just want to serve Krishna. So that's why you sometimes read, the devotees don't want liberation. They don't want to ask for something like that. They just want devotional service. So that's the mood Prabhupada taught. And so even if we're not very advanced in this movement, we know that, because we hear that, we read it in his books. So we practice trying to pray like that. Lord, I just want devotional service. So we have that idea because Prabhupada has revealed this highest philosophy to us. So now we have that idea, so we can pray for that. Even if we're not very advanced, it's not like the less advanced people in the movement are saying, I just want Narayan, I just want to see Super Soul, I just want to go to Vaikuntha. Everybody has this idea of what's the highest. And we say, I just want devotional service to Krishna. I just want to please Krishna. So Prabhupada has given us this wonderful thing where we can, from the lowest, we can reach to the highest. Yeah.
So we are so privileged and honored to have the opportunity to know Krishna, to just even have the idea that he is, or come to learn that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the seed-giving Father. Because in the heavenly planets, some of them, because of the lifespan they have and the creation, they don't even know. They're unaware of Krishna and his actual pastimes and Golok Vrindavan and what happens there. So we are in a more fortunate position, although it seems that we are so unfortunate, but we can use this to the best of our ability and reach that, right?
The heavenly planets are Krishna conscious place. Mostly they worship Vishnu. They have, they have their sacrifices and things. They sometimes see Vishnu in the flames of the fire. They sometimes see it. But the sense gratification is so, I don't know if it's the heavenly planets or even the sages' planets higher, but they have so much sense gratification offered. It's not impossible to be austere and focused on Krishna, but it's really, really hard. I think it's hard here, but there's distracted by fun, distracted by good pleasures. It's really, so the demigods, Prabhupada said, are lined up to take birth in Kali Yuga in the Hare Krishna movement. So they can get enough mixture of good and bad and enough frustration or sense gratification to appreciate and really love Krishna and go back to Godhead. This is so distracting up there in the heavenly planets. So I need, let me explain that you had another question. I may not explain because Selena's here. The heavenly planets are a different place from the spiritual world. You might know this already from your reading, but in case you don't, the heavenly planets are a place of reward for good karma, good deeds. And you get to go there as long as your good karma, like a bank account, holds out, and then you have to come back to this level. And there's almost no fear there, except you know that someday you're going to have to come back. It may be a long life, lots of sense gratification. Everything is more wonderful than here. But you still have to come back to here. You still have to die and come back to here. Whereas the eternal spiritual world is totally eternal, no fear whatsoever, no more death, totally focused on Krishna. Any sense gratification up there is for the purpose of giving Krishna pleasure. And if Krishna reciprocates, you don't seek your own pleasure. Krishna reciprocates. And the real happiness is the happiness of the love relationship with Krishna. It doesn't matter what sense gratification is. And that's our the eternal world. And there's different levels there too, different levels of surrender even there. You can be in Vaikuntha and be out of birth and death, but you still can grow. You still can. I heard that they have preaching centers from Goloka Vrindavan in Vaikuntha.
Oh.
I heard that. You have to look. Somebody look it up. Maybe they can find it. I'm sure Prabhupada said it. Somebody told me, but long time ago. But I know that Prabhupada said there's an ISKCON in the spiritual world. Might that be what it's doing? It's a preaching movement. And there is the story of Gopakumara in the Bhagavatam by Sanatana Goswami. This little humble soul didn't have much knowledge, but a demigod he was worshiping gave him a mantra. And it was a mantra to be a coward boy. He didn't know what he liked it. He kept chanting it. And he kept meeting people to take him to the next high, who would teach him about the next highest level. He went all the way to Vaikuntha. And he still wasn't quite happy because he was something in him, he just wanted to chant that mantra and be a cowherd boy with Krishna. And he didn't understand why or anything, but he went all the way up to Vaikuntha and he wasn't satisfied yet. And the other souls in Vaikuntha, they were trying to preach him, it's wonderful here, what's your problem? Because that was their level at that time. And he wasn't satisfied. Narada Muni took him aside and said, I know where you can go to the next step, which was Ayodhya, then Dwarka, and first, in the spiritual world, these places are there too. Yes. And finally, he made it to Goloka Vrindavan and was a cowherd boy with Krishna. So, and he had to come back to the material world and participate in Krishna's pastimes in the material world to actually get there, even from Vaikuntha. That's that's in the story. That's what we have to do. So it's all there's progress from every level until we get there. Yes.
Okay, so speaking about mantras, my Guru Maharaj just sent me my mantras for my Brahmins.
Slow, because you're echoing.
I said, speaking about mantras, my Guru Maharaj just blessed me by sending me mantras for my Brahman initiation.
Mm.
So,
You're second initiated.
yeah.
So
No,
you-
well, he's just sent me to listen, and then I'll
Oh.
sit in a fire sacrifice.
So you
Oh,
received
nice.
Brahman initiation.
Yes.
Yay! You can help on the altar too.
So can you please give me some advice and lecture, something appropriate regarding, because you mentioned mantras and today is a good day for me, so maybe you can give me some advice or...
First thing, learn the mantra, get used to it, and say it. But there are things in the Brahma Samhita, the sixth line of the mantra, the sixth part of it, is described in the Brahma Samhita in the third verse. And you can understand the parts of it there. Other parts of it, other lines, there is something about this Sambandha, Avideya, Prayojana levels in each of the mantras. You know what that means?
No.
Sambandha is knowledge of the relationship, Avideya is knowledge of the process, which is devotional service, and Prayojana is knowledge of the goal, which is pure devotion to Krishna. So the mantras have those levels in them. And so you can be looking for that. You can get clues in the words. I mean, it's very, very deep, mysterious wording, you know. Of course, the meaning is the same thing that we talk about all the time, read about all the time. It's not some new meaning. It is, however, a new way to meditate on it. Okay.
Thank you.
Krishna, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Okay, anything else? Do you have any questions?
Oh, not at the moment.
Okay. Everything makes some sense to you?
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand everything. It's a learning curve.
So it is, you just have to absorb an awful lot of stuff, right? That's good though, you're hearing. When I was new, I didn't know how I learned things, but after a while I knew things. And then like I was reading in the first few cantos of the Bhagavatam, I was struggling through and falling asleep, but somebody was lending me his books. So I would finish one and go back and get another one. And it just mostly, I felt like I was just sleeping through them, you know? But then like years later, I reread it, and I saw different things as, that's where I learned that. That's where I learned that. So it did go in. So it did. It just, you can't tell how it happens at first. So I guess I will stop here. And thank you for all your participation. And all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Thank you very much.